A slit drum is a musical instrument in the percussion family. It is usually made from bamboo or wood in the form of a box with one or more slits in the top. The majority of slit drums have only one slit, but some have two or three slits in the form of the letter H. If the tongues have different lengths or thicknesses, the drum will produce two different tones. The origin of the slit drum is found in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Oceania. In Africa, such drums, strategically placed for good transmission, such as along a river or in a valley, were used for long-distance communication. This drum is for my wife, who teaches music to children at her school. She loves it when I make something that she can use in the classroom. The wood I'm using in this project was found on the curb in my town. Someone threw out a dresser, but the wood in a dresser is ideal for small woodworking projects. Whenever I see something like that on the curb, I take it. So on to the project. First I cut the pieces to the right length. This wood is half an inch thick. The size of this drum is governed by the size of the boards themselves. To be sure the lengths are the same, I'm using a stop block on my table saw sled. Now the pieces are cut to width. To avoid mistakes, I marked the locations for the rabbets on the ends of the pieces. The rabbets will help reinforce the joints. With my router table, I cut a rabbet at the end of each part. The rabbet should be half of the thickness of the piece so that the joints fit well. After I check the joints, I lightly sand the rabbets to improve the fit of the pieces. Now I measure between the sides for the bottom. Then the piece is cut to size. Since I'm at the table saw, I'm cutting the top. I want to make it a little longer and wider than the base of the drum. The drum is only held together by glue. It's not necessary to use nails or screws. At this point, the battery in my camera died, so here's a photo of the finished glue up. To make the slits in the top, I'm using a technique which is not for the faint of heart. In hindsight, it would have been safer to use the router to do this, but the deed is done. Using the fence and marks, I raise the blade at the right spot and move the piece. Then I flip the piece and do the same. For the center slit, I just move the fence over to center the top. Now the slots are finished with a handsaw. While doing this, my leg vise broke and I had to fix it. The pin for the handle broke, but it was easily replaced. To make the tongues, I first mark the middle of the slit. Then I measure about a 1/4 inch and mark for one tongue. For the second tongue, I measure and mark 1/4 inch more than that. Using a jigsaw, I cut through the tongues. At the router table, I round over the edges of the top and sand it. While sanding, I notice a crack beyond the sawn kerf. A drop of glue easily repairs that. And now, more sanding. The ends of the slots are still rough, so a file is used to pretty them up. And still more sanding. With the glue on the box well cured, I can remove the strap clamp. The glue spots are removed with a card scraper. And I sand the bottom and the sides, and I plug the spaces between the joints with sanding dust and glue. And resand the corners. With the router table, I round over the corners of the box. And also sand them. The top is glued to the box. And clamps are used to hold it together. I'm wiping away the glue squeeze out with a damp rag. After the glue is dried, I remove the clamps. For the finish, I brush on a coat of polyurethane on the bottom and the top. I gently sand the first coat and wipe it down with a damp rag. In all, I put 3 coats on the drum. Finally, I burn in my brand and sign and date the drum. Then I add the feet. The drum is done. Because a slit drum is usually played with small mallets, I decided to show how to make a simple one. Start with a small super ball. Drill a hole in the ball a little bigger than the dowel to about the center of the ball. For the stick, I cut a length of 1/4 inch doweling, about 1 foot long. I use epoxy to glue the stick in the ball. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Now go make something with wood. See ya.